Good day everyone. I'm David, moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, which is Workplace Investigations for Harassment, Discrimination and Retaliation. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, Pete Tosh. Pete Tosh is the founder of the Focus Group. Pete has worked closely with the leadership teams of organizations. Pete has 15 years of experience in human resource and quality functions. Pitt held leadership positions including the VP of Human Resources and Quality with LH Signal Imperial Chemical Industries. Pitt holds a BA degree in psychology from Emory and Henry College and a master's business administration and industrial psychology from Virginia Commonwealth University. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Pitt.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that introduction, and thanks to each of you for participating today. This is a huge topic, and so I've divided this webinar into 10 modules, but within those 10 modules, we will be addressing three key issues. The first is, when should we conduct an investigation? We'll spend most of our time today talking about the second issue of how to conduct an investigation, and then thirdly, preparing a findings report. So let's start with kind of the basics of what an internal investigation is. The operative words here are that it's formal, it's not a casual activity. The EEOC strongly recommends conducting investigations when you've got unlawful acts, determining the facts and truths about what happened and when, who was involved, and very importantly, who may have been harmed and how they were harmed. So the other goal for the investigation is protecting the organizations. But conducting internal investigations is not an easy task. We've got multiple challenges. So this is not something to be taken lightly. Investigations can be challenging. We need a plan, and I'll talk about that in more detail, what goes into that plan. As I referenced, due to all these challenges and the intricacies, then good investigations start with a plan. To you that I've divided this webinar into these 6 modules. We'll talk about kind of when to do it, our role, the information you need to determine the best approach, some immediate steps that you should take, determining who to interview, how do you begin those interviews, what's your interview methodology, what would go into the interview questionnaire, and I'll talk about 3 types of questions, then talking points for closing, and then the key pieces of investigatory findings report. All right, let's talk about then kind of when should we conduct these. They're really kind of two situations. One is any violations of company policy. The other category would be in violations of employment law. So let's talk about our role. So again, we are neutral fact finder. So let's talk about some information that we need to obtain prior to beginning or writing our plan and starting the investigation, built around what the requesters of this investigation want to know. Also, we want to gather any evidence that we have. Another form of information, then, of course, is who might be involved or might have any knowledge of these allegations. Also, we want to kind of get a sense of the people involved in this. It's very important then that we have our act together, so to speak, in terms of scheduling interviews. Establish that location, and the preferred order that I use is witnesses, accusing party, and then the accused. Let's talk about some things that we ought to do immediately then. Depending upon the situation, the seriousness, you may want to isolate or suspend the accused. So let's talk about then how we determine who should be interviewed, who was involved, who has relevant information, what are the requesters want to know what's the objective of our investigation. So let's talk about how we begin the interviews. You're going to want to introduce yourself if you are unknown to any of the interviewees, the purpose of the interview. Then we want to explain that our role is a neutral fact finder. And let's talk about that interview methodology then in some steps. Again, we keep going back to who are the requesters and what's their objective. Then, of course, we want to develop our interview questionnaire. So let's talk about then the interview questionnaire. My interview questionnaire really contains 3 types of questions. The first being background questions. And then I'll go to some general questions. But I'm going to ask some general questions like, tell me about the workplace environment. Another general question that brings out a lot of responses, anything occurred that you felt was offensive, hostile, intimidating, allegation-specific questions. And that would be, tell me what you know about a certain incident. Occasionally I ask, why do you think these allegations were made? So let's talk about then closing our interviews. And if any of that is not clear, I'm going to ask for clarification. After we've conducted our interviews then, it's our responsibility to prepare an investigatory findings report so that the requesters and the organization can react to the interview responses appropriately. This is generally my outline. So we've worked through these 10 modules and we've talked about the investigations, are fact-finding, truth-seeking endeavors following allegations. Once we have these allegations, then we want to determine the facts and do so in a way that protects the organization if we have any legal charges against us related to this incident. So I hope that's been helpful to you. I hope each of you has picked up some useful action steps. Yes, David, thank you for hosting, and thanks to each of you for participating today. I hope it was helpful to you. So again, thank you, David. Thanks to each of you for participating. Wish you a good day.
Thank you, Pete. That does conclude the session. Thank you, everyone, for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead.